Alright, we're going to talk about the Iran intervention. We kind of know more about it as time goes on. It amazes me that Destiny is still in favor of this stuff. And this is Trump's incompetent foreign policies, incompetent peace through strength. That's just cruelty. It's idiocy. It's the same thing as his tariffs. This Iran intervention with the 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs was an absolute failure. We're just going to listen to Destiny debate it with Myron.
I'm a major proponent of not having a nuclear-armed Iran, so I was okay with it.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't like the way that we got there, though, right? I would say that exiting the nuclear deal was really bad. Israel loved that. And
of course, the nuclear deal is an amazing thing if you really think that Iran was a nuclear threat. I think that they were just having 60% uranium as a bargaining chip, and we should ignore that as a bargaining chip. And then if we find concrete evidence that they're actually constructing a nuclear weapon, then we should respond with a lot of strength, because that would undermine all their credibility. They would be violating Article 2 of the NPT. They would be violating their own religious decree against nuclear weapons, etc. So I think that's a line we can draw. That's a red line we can draw. You can say, Iran, if you actually construct a nuclear weapon, you said that you aren't, but you said you are using the 60% enriched uranium. If you take it to 90%, construct a weapon, then we will intervene militarily and shut down your ability to basically have any military whatsoever. This would be an extreme sort of peace through strength approach that I would be in favor of, because I don't believe Iran would construct a weapon if we gave them that threat, right? And a lot of people would say, oh, but wouldn't that mean regime change in Iran if they did construct a weapon? It's like, maybe, but it would never happen, right? It's like saying, oh, if Ukraine joined NATO in Bucharest, right, in 2008, in Bucharest, then, was it Budapest or Bucharest? I forget. If they joined NATO, then Putin would have attacked Ukraine. It would have been World War III, right? No, if Ukraine joined NATO, then Putin wouldn't have attacked at all. You have to think about this stuff. It's why alliances are great. They're good for world peace. Yes, they do threaten constantly world war. They constantly threaten global war if the alliances are directly attacking each other, but that ideally that never happens. So with Iran, we would say, do whatever kind of nuclear stuff you want. If you weaponize it, you're done. That's what I would say. Now, on the strikes that Israel and the United States did to Iran, highly immoral. Bombing apartment buildings, killing 60 people, including 20 children, just to kill a scientist and a replaceable IRGC commander is highly immoral. Highly immoral. Especially because there's no evidence that they were constructing a bomb, of course. If there was evidence of that, then I would almost be in favor of them. Wouldn't be in favor of all of Israel's strikes, but then we go to the American strikes. We basically just bomb centrifuges. What do centrifuges do? They take uranium and they turn it into higher enrichment uranium. Which isn't the problem with Iran. The problem with Iran is that they already have the 60% enriched uranium stockpile, and that was probably below Pickaxe Mountain, which is like 50% deeper than Fordo, and we could never touch it. So, and that wasn't even the point of the mission. The point of the mission was not to destroy the uranium. It was to destroy their ability to centrifuge, which is a stupid mission. It's an absolutely idiotic mission, because it doesn't even remove their ability to make a nuclear bomb at all. Like, at least if we're going to do this, then destroy some of their capabilities. We did destroy some of their military labs that they would need to construct the bomb if they did decide to do that. But a lot of that stuff is dual use, and they probably have it in droves. Iran is a huge place. They would have no problem building a dirty bomb like Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They've had that knowledge since the Ahmad program in 2003, started in 1999. They could easily do that.
Saudi Arabia loved that because they fucking hated us when we signed that nuclear deal with Iran.
Yeah.
And then bombing.
Well, Saudi Arabia, they're cool with Iran now. They've opened back diplomatic relations. They're cool now.
I mean, they have, yeah. But I mean, like, these guys are diametrically opposed to each other in terms of interest. Like, Iran backs the Houthis a lot. Saudi Arabia tried for like 3 years to bomb and get rid of all of them. They weren't, like, I don't think they.
Yeah, people don't talk about how Saudi Arabia has been killing Yemenis for years, and you know it's literally
a lot, yeah,
terrible.
And
I've been critical of the Saudi Arabian government for that too.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking, like, if Iran.
That's completely right. Saudi Arabia's military actions in Yemen, they're horrible, ineffective, delusional. You're not going to get rid of the Houthis. It's stupid. It's like, I'm glad they stopped it. I'm glad Biden pulled out aid for them in that situation. It was a stupid war. It was a deadly war. It was a famine. Should never happen.
Were to fall,
Yep.
and that whole region were to be like friendly-ish, basically, to the United States. That just seems like a really good state of affairs for us. Because aside from Iran, like, who would give us trouble there?
Well, I think the only reason they give us trouble is because of our foreign policy.
Aside from Iran, who would give you trouble? How about the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, any kind of Palestinian resistance? Right, that's the main issue there. The main sort of objective war crime that's entangled with the West is Israel and all the stuff they're doing. Until that issue is solved, what problems we're gonna have in the Middle East? Well, we're gonna have problems related to that, right? If you give Ayatollah Khamenei, like 10 minutes to talk about why he hates America, I bet he will spend all 10 minutes talking about Israel, right? And how we support them and how we're complicit with them. Most of it's tied to that. And a lot of the stuff in the past about us intervening in the region in very stupid ways, of course, plays a part. But in the modern kind of battlefield, we have it's more what I just said.
Right. So like I think it's better to just like not, give Israel all this aid and let them hash it out over there.
Like a whole region being friendly towards us, but there's like an issue still with Iran. You think we should just exit completely and risk losing the entire region to Russia, China, India?
No, I see your perspective. What I'm trying to say is like the Arab world really doesn't like us. Like, so, okay, I'll give you an example. So like when Biden was in, right, like Saudi Arabia was flirting with BRICS, right? And it took Trump going over there, right, playing off like I'm not friends with Netanyahu, went over there.
Yeah, they aren't the biggest fans of democracy and free speech, and that's a bad thing. We should be able to say that's objectively a bad thing, but we should still make alliances and partnerships with them, economic agreements with them, like the Abraham Accords. I'm like in the middle on the Abraham Accords. I think it was inevitable, but ignored the main issue at hand, which is the issue of the Palestinians. But we should be able to be friendly with these countries, even though they do stand for stuff that fundamentally we disagree with.
Met with, the leader of Syria, al-Shara, aka former Al-Qaeda guy, we'll lift the sanction off you, and then we'll meet with the, we'll go, they give him the jet or whatever. Like, we almost lost Saudi Arabia to BRICS. My bottom line is that, like, and I think you would agree with this, Saudi Arabia just does what's best for Saudi Arabia. Like,
sure, but I mean, like, who would you rather have access to? The United States?
Yeah, no, BRICS is an idiot. BRICS is so stupid. Like, there's never going to be a BRICS currency. BRICS is never going to be anything major. Having the United States as an ally, so you can go fight your stupid war in Yemen, right? And like, we let them do that, right? They can do anything. We give them aid. We have great economic relations with them. We sell them weapons. This is a great deal for them. So they're going to leave it for Brazil. Like, what?
Like signal that they're going to have a strong interventionist policy, or like when it comes to defending your interests, or somebody like Russia, when Putin sits by and watches Gaddafi getting by bayonets, or sits by and watches Assad's regime completely and totally collapse, or watches Syria be involved in a civil war for 10 years, or watches Iran crumble because Russia can't handle its own war right now. Like, it feels like the U.S. is a good ally to have in your corner, and then we can defend and ensure trade. Like, let's say like the Houthis were up to their shenanigans, and it wasn't the U.S. that was interested in that region. Let's say it was fucking China or Russia. Like, who's to say that the Suez would have ever opened again? Like, would they have had the capability to even send ships down there to? Does Russia even have a fleet anymore that they could send?
They would have. They would have. But my bottom line is that like the Saudis and a lot of these Muslim countries or these Arab countries, they already don't like us because of our policy.
Would the Suez have ever opened again? I don't know. I think Egypt. I think Destiny's point is that Egypt's peace with Israel is contingent upon America, and I disagree with that. I think a lot of it was real, true peace sentiment from Sadat. He was tired of this stuff about Israel, and he was ready to accept Israel as a political reality, ready to accept them as an economic partner, right? As kind of some sort of like long-term peace arrangement. He's done with this broader Arab resistance, three no's kind of stuff. But that I think saying that the Suez Canal would have never opened if America wasn't there supporting Egypt. It's kind of bad faith. Again, it's kind of a what if scenario.
Right? Like,
I disagree. I feel like they like us quite a bit. I think they're right. I think that's why most of them, like, people like tried to hype up that Abraham Accord shit, but I think that like most countries are like, listen, the fighting shit is gay. Let's just like move on and like build up and make economies.
Yeah, but the Abraham Accords like kind of led to like all of these problems. It was one of the reasons why, you know, we had.
Maybe it led to the Gaza border riots, but it didn't lead to much. It was just an economic free trade agreement. It's not that deep. I'm a free trade person, so I agree with the Abraham Accords in principle, so long as we keep focus on the Palestinian issue.
The altercation that we had, but to go back real quick to the Iran thing. So I think it was a monumental failure, and I'll give you my position real quick, and you can tell me what you think. The reason why I think it was a monumental failure is because unless you affect regime change, everything else was a waste of time. And I would argue that we made them stronger by intervening, because what ended up happening was they survived the assassinations with their generals. They survived the precise attacks.
Yeah, it's just more gives the Iran government more anti-West propaganda to stream out to all of their people, and there's going to be less anti-regime sentiment than there was before. I don't know if there's any new polling out about that, but I suspect that that's what will happen. Because most Arab countries or most like anti-Israel countries broadly disagreed with the strikes on both America's and Israel's part. But I'll get hopefully it gets to the meat of the strikes.
They lost
with
a lot of
the
people.
nuclear scientists. They did. But the Ayatollah's still alive. They still have their military intact to a degree. Yes, they were weakened. Yes, Mossad did a fantastic.
Yes, the nuclear scientists killed civilians. Many civilians were killed to kill those scientists. They already have the knowledge, by the way, to build a bomb. So killing those scientists is stupid. Doesn't do anything. All the knowledge they've gotten in 2003 in their mod program. And then the IRGC commanders are highly replaceable. Some of them are better than others, like Soleimani. He was very talented. But at the end of the day, it's a system. It's not people. The IRGC is not going to go away anytime soon.
Fantastic operation, getting behind enemy lines and destroying air defense and jamming radars. Fantastic. But they did all that and, you know, showed their cards, and they couldn't effectuate the regime change because they were hoping that by them, you know, doing all this, it would make the Baloks or one of these other, rebel groups say, let's go in and like take over. And they didn't do it. Actually, the opposite.
Yeah, anti-regime sentiment in Iran is far less than it was in places like Libya or Syria. People conflate this a lot. If it was as high as it was in Libya and Syria, maybe they would have taken that objective. But there's other places where anti-regime sentiment is probably pretty high, but it doesn't matter unless it's like 80s or 90% are willing to use violence to overthrow the government. And especially because those revolutionary groups disagree fundamentally with the West and Israel on many things, and they're not gonna just like say we're pro-West now. No, we're anti-regime. We're not pro-West or pro-Israel.
Happened. It united the country. The people that were critical of the theocracy, right, were like, you know what, we need to get behind the government because yes, we don't like the Ayatollah, but we hate Israel even more. So like when they had these funeral processions, like there was like thousands of people out there like saying yes. So like it was an L for us because we actually ignited their nationalism. And then like the other problem also is like within, and I got this from like an insider that like understands Iranian politics. I didn't know this. In their government, right, there's like the reformists, which would be like their Democrats, and then their conservatives, their Republicans. And there was a lot of fighting in between, like, hey, diplomacy with the West or no diplomacy. And basically what happened was when Israel attacked with Operation Rising Lions, they said, you know what, fuck it. We're going to hit them hard. And then they just started hitting Tel Aviv super hard. That's why we saw, them being able to attack a lot of...
Yep. Probably all the reformists probably all broke down. I believe that. They were like, this is unacceptable, of course. This is just an act of war that's not even getting you anything. You can't even prove that we're doing the things that you're accusing us of. And I can imagine those people knowing, I'm assuming they're right, knowing that they have not been developing a nuclear bomb, they would just like make them really mad, really anti-peace, anti-negotiation, right? Especially because we backstabbed them twice in a row, like misled them about investigation, about peace talks, and just like backstab them mid-peace talk. Like, what kind of a negotiating partner is that? But I completely agree with him. Everything you said there, basically.
strategic sites, hit their intel bases. And obviously Israel withheld this because they didn't want anyone to know that they were being hit. But it's coming out now that they were actually hit pretty hard. Tel Aviv got destroyed. Not all the way, but it got significantly damaged.
Definitely not. There were a couple missiles that fell, but not significantly damaged.
Oh, dude, they did. I'm telling you, there was a ban on, and I'll show you after the debate. Like, and that's by design. Like, Western media and Israeli media purposely made sure.
I believe it was probably diminished. There were military targets in Tel Aviv, so everyone who says they were just striking the heart of Tel Aviv is lying. But this is a good debate. This is a good Iran debate. They didn't get to the meat of the strikes, how it was a complete waste of civilian life and accomplished nothing nuclear-wise, but a good debate overall.